and we're talking about the pirate metrics. We've talked about it on this format before, as it's come up, and just thought it would be important for us to do a little bit deeper dive and talk a little bit about some of the reasoning behind the pirate metrics, and go through some examples. So really quick, Angel Ribencourt, I'm the partner and CEO at Headway. You can connect with me online on these forums. And just a bit about Headway for those that are new and that haven't tuned into the show before. Our mission is to bring entrepreneurial ideas to market and keep them there. And so today, we're excited to talk about this growth framework that helps you really keep it there, like figure out where to start, where to focus your efforts when you're thinking about your product, and what to do next. Of all the bugs and features that come up, how can you start to think through what's the most important thing for your team to focus on, design, development, product strategy wise. And so this helps create alignment on your team. And just the subtext here, we help founders and innovation teams launch new ventures through product strategy, design, and development. And that's startups looking to launch new products, that's corporations that want to innovate. So without further ado, we'll get into the pirate metrics here. Think like a pirate, and this is part of the framework that was developed and created by Dave McClure, who was the founder of 500 Startups. He's also now moved on to Practical Venture Capital, and really just use this to not only product management, but also to align your teams. And there's a way to apply this, that I learned through Jeff Godhelf in some early sessions he did with Lean UX, and how you use this model to pick a metric and then focus on it. And so we'll talk a little bit about the model, and then hopefully get into some examples with y'all around where you can start applying it. Before digging in, we'll talk a little bit about the 3 A's and 3 R's. So just introducing the model. A is for awareness. Is your brand recognizable with your target audience? Does your reputation precede you, right? If you said Nike to a group of runners, very unlikely that anyone has not heard of them, right? Their awareness is very large. Their brand recognition is huge. Acquisition, so obtaining new customers that sign up through early adopter forms, beta lists. Like, how are you acquiring someone's interest, through forums? That could be even, in this age, it could even be through social media. It could be through followers. It could be through YouTube. How are you acquiring people? Activation, so once obtained, like how do customers create accounts? How do they add their content? Like, what do you consider a customer to be activated at? And these metrics will depend per product and what you consider someone to be activated on, right? If it's a free app, somebody would be activated if they filled out their profile and they got access. If it was a content app or something where you needed to onboard a user, you wanted to gather some information from them, like let's say through an onboarding assessment, you wouldn't consider them activated unless they went through that assessment. And so there's different spins and different angles that you can start to look at these metrics through that'll help you understand, like, how can I think about activation, and when is my customer truly activated where I can then begin delivering value to them. The first R, and these 3 R's will get interchanged a lot. It depends on, the product. It depends on who your customer is, and it depends on who your business model is. For example, a lot of the enterprise customers or B2B products that are out there, SaaS products, revenue will be before retention and before referral. But when you think about consumer products, revenue typically will come last if there's some sort of freemium where you're basically trying to get someone pushed through this funnel and then onto, into a paying customer where they're more of a premium or a pro account. So retention is all about, how customers are coming back, how often they're coming back, what they're coming back for, and just making sure that this is a good metric to understand, like whether or not you are delivering value in the eyes of your customer, or are they continuing to come back? And this is where a lot of folks and a lot of startups end up really wanting to focus, and there becomes like this dichotomy between, as an early stage startup, do I focus on new customer acquisition? Do I focus on retaining the customers I do have? And the hard answer that you'll get from a lot of people and us is like, it's both, right? We have to continue to acquire customers at a predictable rate, and we also need to retain the customers we do have. The next one is referral. So are your customers referring other people? Are they creating customers for you? This is what Seth Godin calls remarkable. Do you have a remarkable product where like you can't help but tell other people that you know are experiencing the problem about the solution you came across, whether that was a product or a service or something that you're almost evangelizing and saying like, hey, this has really helped me do X. You should definitely check it out. And then the last one, revenue. Are people paying for it? How much? Are there different tiers, right? Where maybe there's an evolution of revenue, and you can begin to grow that revenue over time through customer lifetime value. Essentially, just understanding, if it is a repeatable purchase or something that's a subscription, how long are people churning and staying around? Are they staying around for 8 months, 12 months, a year? And how do you impact that revenue number by really focusing on retention? Like, how do you continue adding value through the life cycle of whatever journey that they're on? So as we strip it back, we start to think about it and wanted to represent and just show that, most things in life are not binary. Like you either have a customer or you don't. But as you dig into the details, and this is why this framework is so good, is as you dig into the details, you learn that everything is like this stepped tiered structure. Everything's a funnel, right? When you think about your product and somebody coming in, learning about your brand up top here and going all the way down through to revenue, there becomes a series of steps that you can start to understand the journey they're on, how you're adding value, if you're adding value to what subset. And if you were to visualize this as a funnel, just like this, you would see, hey, a lot of people are aware. A subset of those people or a percentage of those people are acquired and actually are interested in what your offer is. Of that, even a fewer amount of them convert and actually activate their accounts. Of those that activate their accounts, even less of them are retained and start to come back week over week, month over month, whatever that is. And then even less of those refer people, and even less of the people that refer people turn into revenue. And so as you see, like, acquiring customers is just the front door to your entire funnel. It's not, if you were to acquire customers, this doesn't mean you can build a solid business. It gives you a great chance, a great pool to work with. It fills the top of the funnel for you. But as you think about revenue, there's a long journey and a big disconnect between acquiring a customer and their intent that, hey, they're interested in this product, and actually producing revenue from them, not just one time, but ongoing, right? We talked about lifetime value a little bit, and that's how much one customer that's acquired is actually worth to your company. And all of those metrics are really important as you think about building a business. But it's important to really look at this through a funnel, and these percentages are just rough percentages of the previous phase, right? These aren't absolute. If we were to do absolute percentages, this is like 2 to 3%, 5% maybe, depending on your product, but each one is a percentage of that previous step. And so you see that at each step, you're dropping off lots and lots of customers. And so with this model, it helps you to understand, if you're able to get these absolute values and also these relative values to the previous step through your instrumentation. Tools we use include Segment, Intercom, Amplitude. There's a bunch of other tools that we use that slipping my mind right now to really help. Mixpanel is the other one that really helps to visualize this funnel of onboarding and retention and value that you're providing. But these tools will help give you the information you need in order to make decisions around where your product team focuses. And so in this case, if we were to say, part of the lean UX model is taking what we have here in referrals and the pirate metrics here and say, hey, we really want to boost referrals from 23% of our customers recommending people, or 23% of the people that are retained recommending people, to 50%, right? And then you come up with a problem statement that says, hey, we believe that in order to increase bottom line revenue, we're going to increase in this little bit in the weeds, not really. It's related, obviously, startups, but like your referrals will directly impact your CAC, your CAC, or your customer acquisition cost. So the more referrals you get from people for free, the less you pay to acquire new customers, right? And so you're kind of you're trying to incentivize and provide enough value where people will start to do free marketing for you and fill up this bucket of acquisition. But when you're referring people, when you're revisiting this model, say, hey, if we believe that if we're able to increase our acquisition costs or acquisition costs through referrals, that equals in a 50% or a 25% increase here results in X amount business value for us. Then you align your team around, okay, you pick the metric that's referral, and then you go down and say, okay, do we want all of our customers to be able to refer, or is there a subset or a cohort of customers we want to target more? And if it is, if you do have one customer, you would take that and outline their persona and say, okay, well, what things about them do we know? Do we know why they're referring people? What's the trigger for them to go and refer somebody? Before you go into solutioning around, hey, we're gonna roll out a reward program or a referral bonus or something that would incentivize users. Before you get to that, I think the Lean UX model would have you identify the user and who the persona that you're serving, and then actually go talk to them and say, like, hey, what do people want in order to refer people? Is it because we're not adding enough value that they're not referring them? Is it because it's not easy enough for them to share, right? Could we easily add a button to our app that says, hey, invite friends, and get XYZ? Is it, there's other platforms out there that people don't want something in exchange. They maybe just want recognition. And so Dribbble did this really well early on. It was invite only, where every single person that would invite somebody would show up as, drafted by Jacob Miller, drafted by Andrew Verbancourt on that person's profile. And so you use referrals as a way to really vouch and build a solid network of designers that now is millions and millions of designers. So as you go through and, figure out what to build in service of this referral goal, you would go talk to those customers and say, what are the outcomes the customers want in order for us to add enough value for them to refer more people, right? Is it an incentive program? What are our competitors doing, right? And you start to dig and gather intel, and from there you move into, hey, well, actually just this share button and this invite friend button and this like custom code that makes it feel personalized. Just that alone will help move the bar for them. But then you move it into the features that you're planning. And let me see if I can pull up a better model here really quick. So here's a good example of the Lean UX template where essentially you have your problem statement, you have your business outcome. You can see here the pirate model that we've talked about. We don't have awareness on here because you're not really measuring it at the product level. And then, you go into your personas and you really understand, what are the demographics, behavioral details, what are their needs, obstacles, all these personas that you likely might have already, some sort of profile of your users, not necessarily a persona, but some of the jobs, the pains, the gains, all of those things. And then we want to go to user outcomes, right? And really think about what outcomes does this user have, and how might we design around the outcomes that they're looking for. From there, we go into features. So in order to get this result for this person, knowing the value that we can create for them, what features might get us there and create that value. And then we start to create these hypotheses where we believe we'll achieve, retaining, increasing retention of users by X amount if these users, could be all of them, successfully do X with this, right? And so you're building out this hypothesis that's built upon an outcome, who your defined user is, whether that's all of your users or a subset of users, the outcome that they need to get to, and also a feature. And then you move into prioritization, so where you put those exact hypotheses together, and then you can do them versus risk, how understood or not understood they are. You can also do them, one of our favorite ways is to pair impact versus value, or outcome versus value, and that'll help you prioritize what things your product team focuses on. One thing that we've been doing, and we were just sharing this internally, is leveraging Intercom to really skin onboarding experiences. And so one of the things you could do is use a tool that's already in your platform and just get creative and say, hey, we believe that if we even just call our users to act and ask for referrals and say, hey, we're looking to help more people just like you, know anyone that'd be a great fit, you'd also both get a free month of whatever it is we're offering. Like, you could do that through a pop-up modal in Intercom or any in-app chat message, and try and see, like, hey, if we ask them directly, will that convert, right? And use the tools you have. And so through this exercise and through Lean UX, and kind of pairing that with a business metric in the pirate model, you're able to try and understand and loop your team around how can we get creative? How can we try and get the results with the least amount of effort versus thinking that, hey, we have to cut right to, developing our own program that tracks users, tracks referrals, that incentivizes them through, gift cards or through XYZ. Are there easier ways that you can do it that take less effort and actually get you more results?